But what was more shocking was when Nick Fuentes, who is considered the leader of the Groyper movement, wrote this in response to her. He wrote, "Your dad literally called me a rat last week. Thank you for exposing yourself and revealing who you really work for. Both of you freaks should be deported to Israel since you love it so much they can have you." And he attached a tweet from Jordan Peterson, where Jordan Peterson did in fact write this to Nick Fuentes. He wrote, "You, at Nick Fuentes, really are a psychopathic rat." So yeah, now we're in a conflict here. She is calling for the censorship of her father, right? I mean, if you're saying the standard is just calling somebody a rat, and it is not just because it is a phrase that's being directed at Jews, but because calling people rats is wrong, then your father would have to be censored. And so when Nick Fuentes raised this obvious conundrum to her, here's what she wrote back. She wrote back, "Oh my God, were you called a rat? Did that hurt? I work for myself, you loser, and I know that Jews' success is due to their above average IQ. But I'm sure blaming a nation of people for your failings is easier for you." I'm sorry, what? So now she's like, aha, yeah, you're a rat, or did that hurt your feelings? That just doesn't seem like a stable or a rational response to someone pointing out the fact that your father just said something that you're calling for censorship for. Or are you saying that it should only be censored if it is being directed at a person that is Jewish? She's not clear on that, but what is clear is that Jordan Peterson jumped into this and doubled down on calling somebody a rat. Here's what he wrote. He wrote, "I apologize for calling you a rat, Nick Fuentes. Rats are just animals. They happen to be an enemy of mankind. So they are like you in that regard, but they are merely acting on instinct, whereas you are motivated by a will for ignorance so deep that it's kind of a miracle, in combination with a profound malevolence. So I was unfair to the rats. Hence my apology. Take note, Mikhaila." He further added, "I don't regret the psychopath moniker, however. You and your followers, I know your type, buddy boy, but you don't know mine." Okay, so parking aside the fact that it's written in sonnet form, which is something that I don't quite understand why he's doing that, Jordan Peterson has built himself as somebody who is calm, who is rational, who relies on logic, who is a person who believes in radical free speech. He's now coming to the aid of his daughter and essentially doubling down on calling, this is again a 62-year-old man, calling a 24-year-old a rat. And what is the reason, by the way? Because we should also say what is it that Nick Fuentes said that garnered that response from Jordan Peterson. And Nick Fuentes wrote one word on Twitter. He wrote Jews. Now, what was that in response to? Well, somebody asked the question. We know that Joe Biden is not in control of the White House, so who is in control of the White House? And Nick Fuentes wrote a one-word response, Jews. He's saying Jews are in control of the White House, and that garnered a response from Jordan Peterson calling him a psychopathic rat. Now, we all know that Nick Fuentes has branded himself as somebody who expressly hates Zionism. He expressly hates Israel. And he is saying that Jews in the White House are now obviously in control because Joe Biden is not. Now, to be fair, the Times of Israel has noted in the past, this is an actual article from them, all the Jews Biden has tapped for top roles in his new administration. This is from back in 2021 when Joe Biden first was inaugurated as president. And it goes on to say, Joe Biden filled the months before Inauguration Day, lining up a slate of cabinet secretaries, assistants, and advisors, many of them Jewish. It goes on to give us a rundown of all of the Jewish names, all of the Jews that they are saying are in his cabinet. You have Anthony Blinken, you have David Cohen, the CIA director, you have Merrick Garland, the attorney general, you have Avril Haines, the director of national intelligence, you have Ronald Klain, the chief of staff. So it seems a weird tweet for him to be so disturbed about. Now, again, it's likely because Nick Fuentes has a very long background of focusing his attention on Israel and Zionism, and that's what he is reacting to. Also because Nick Fuentes has called out Jordan Peterson explicitly for a very long time as somebody who he believes has more of an allegiance to Israel than he does to Western civilization in general. Essentially, that he would put Israel before he would put Canada and before he would put America. Now, I don't know if that's a fair critique of Jordan Peterson, but I do know that it is off-brand for him to respond by calling someone a psychopathic rat. I mean, calling somebody a name, calling somebody an animal when you are billing yourself, right, as the calm, rational psychologist, doctor who insists on logic and that the better ideas should win is just going to be off-brand. But we should also be honest here that while people are pretending this is about Jordan Peterson versus the Groypers, or pretending that every person that we're seeing right now that is having a battle right now, it's due to the Groypers, that is not what we are watching, right? Like I said, this began long before it arrived between a beef between Mikhaila and Jordan Peterson and her father. It really began with people feeling like they don't trust the voices that are in the media. And Jordan Peterson is one of these voices.